play and call it work.
Hey there guys, Quirk, Steve, and Luka here from MiniWarGaming.com to give you our first impressions of the new Space Marine Index? Codex?
Is it a codex or is it an index?
It's a codex. It is a codex. Alright, so in this book...
just realized I didn't look at that.
So in this video we're going to be going over the new structure of the book. We're going to be going over the Ultramarine and Salamander chapters, as well as just a couple little things here and there about the book, our first impressions of it. One thing to note before we get into that, guys, if you haven't seen the battle reports that are paired with this, we have one that is free and one that's in the vault. Go ahead and check those out. Make sure you watch those before you watch this video because there will be spoilers of those games in this video. So we're going to give you guys a second to go watch that. Okay, good. So let's get right into it here. Starting off, we've got an amazing looking book. We've got tons of different chapters in here. The new book itself has 7 different chapters that have all specific tactics and everything like that. In this video, we're just going to be going over the Ultramarines and Salamanders to give you guys a bit of a taste of it. Then in the vault, we're going to be going over the other 5 chapters. So starting right off, what do you guys think of this book? First impressions, go.
I like the structure. Structure's good.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to talk over everybody, but yeah, this was, it's a very, very interesting book, the way they structured everything. I love everything that's in here. I've played against it once. Like Quirk said, there are spoilers. So I'm going to say something right now, just right now, if you want to go watch those games, which I recommend you do, watch those first. And I'm going to continue on as if you watched them, and now we're going to go ahead and talk about it. Yep. I played against Quirk's Ultramarines, and you saw me lose. You saw me go first, do very well with killing, and then lose. I did not feel like I was robbed or treated. It was cheesy. I felt it was a solid, I'm not looking for the right word here, the solid new way to play the game. It's the same way to play the game, but it felt different. This is the first game I've played of 8th edition that felt a little different than the rest, and it was awesome. Not that the others were awesome, but it was. I love where this is all going. It was
a game that felt like Space Marines are no longer a Jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah.
It was very much, they are very good at what they do now, and the fact that they have an answer for pretty much every problem, they're back to being a Swiss Army knife of armies. They can handle anything, whether it's a horde, whether it's an elite, whether it's long-range shooting, whether it's close combat, they have an answer for it, regardless of what you bring, and then just the different chapters that you bring with that help you boost certain areas of your army. Now, in the battle report that Steve and I played, I took Ultramarines, who generally had in 7th edition their doctrines, which would allow them, a good round of shooting, a good round of combat, and stuff like that. And you could bring things to kind of boost the number of times you would do that. This book made it feel like Ultramarines had the general, like Guilliman, basically giving out orders, and it worked perfectly. Like, if I want these guys to shoot better, they shot better, and it showed. If I want these guys to, kill this knight, they killed the knight. It wasn't like, okay, well, before this book came out, I'm really relying on these like 3s to hit and 6s to wound and just volume of attacks.
I'll say this, and when we get to the areas that cover why, I've said in previous videos, I worry about Space Marines in the regard that once they're charged, they're not going to, like their vehicles, for example, are neutered. They're not going to get in their shot. They have to fall back. There are ways around it in this book. We'll get to that when we get there. Yep. And basically, to touch a little more on what Quirk said earlier, we're going to go over this book and explain this new structure of the book. And we're only covering the Ultramarines and the Salamanders in this video because those are the battle reports we've done first. But we do want to cover the rest, so there will be another video with all the other chapters, which I think you should watch as well, because they're all very interesting. But I mean, we don't want to put everything in this video because it would be too long and bloated. But the structure of the book, like everything Quirk just said, believe it or not, it's done with stratagems, and there's a lot of them.
Oh yeah.
Warlord traits, relics, tactical objectives, but those are typical from our last edition of Codex.
Just universal special rules for all of them as well. Like just right when you start getting into everything here, you have the Defenders of Mankind, which gives them a bunch of different abilities. But one of the biggest ones here is that troops, like tactical, basically your infantry, can hold objective even if there's only one guy there, because it doesn't matter. It's no longer how many guys you have versus how many guys.
To rephrase that, what Quirk is saying is generally objectives are held with who has the more models within 3 of the objective, controls the objective. However, the Space Marines have, what's the word actually called?
Defenders of Humanity.
Defenders of Humanity. They control the objective if at least, if basically like old objective secured. If they have an infantry on it, it's theirs. Is it just infantry or is it places as well?
It's troops.
Troops.
Just troops.
It's the troops. So not like Devastators or...
Oh, so scouts and tactical marines.
Yes.
Yeah.
The intercessors.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, intercessors. Yeah. So they will all have basically old objectives secured, which.
Back.
Yeah, right. And they need it too because they don't have the models everybody else does.
That's true. Yeah, they don't
like
really have
having
the model
50
count.
conscripts or 30
orcs.
homogons, 30 orcs. Anything can just hold an objective easier than these Space Marines. So one of their weaknesses I talked about earlier in previous battle reports, you may have seen me say, you may not have, is they don't seem to have the models to really fight everybody else because things die a lot faster at 8, which is good. I like that. I like that we get the action faster. But now they can play some objectives. They can hold. They lost that minor weakness that I thought they had literally 2 weeks ago.
Now, one of the base things that we have here is that it still kept the whole chapter keyword on there. So you have like Ultramarines, Raven Guard, Black Templars, things like that. Those keywords actually do come into play a lot more than they did in the index, which is actually quite nice. And they also kept the same things there, like And They Shall Know No Fear, where they can reroll morale checks. Black Templars can't take any librarians or psychers, so that hasn't changed at all.
Stay narrative, yep.
Yep. Going through all of it, a lot of the characters are pretty much the same. A lot of the infantry is the exact same. There's been a few minor
tweaks throughout the it was a Tigerius.
Yep.
His special rule was tweaked
to affect like people around him, not just himself. Marnius Calgar can't be in not Terminator armor anymore.
Right.
So
he has to be in Terminator armor now.
Yep.
They don't sell that old model anymore. Oh, that's a big one too.
Yep. No character bikes.
No characters on bikes other than the captain.
No librarians on bikes. No
Chaplain on bike, apothecary. Well, no. Well, so yeah, you're no chaplains or librarians on bikes.
Yeah.
They're removed from the book. If Games Workshop doesn't sell the model, it's no longer here. Now, I'm assuming the Raven Wing will have the apothecary on the bike because they sell a model for it, but that's not in this book. It doesn't matter. So yeah, if there's no model for it, it's gone. So no more librarians on bikes. You converted up some beautiful librarians on bikes.
They got no
They're
rule.
sergeants now.
So, just looking over the chapter tactics, we're just going to go again over the Ultramarines and stuff like that because there's just all of this.
Well, Ultramarines and
Ultramarines and Salamanders.
Well, I'll say this: these also have been leaked in full.
Yep.
Online, so you can probably read these if you look for them. I believe they're on Bell Lost Souls. We'll talk about 2 of them.
Yep. So
go ahead.
One of the first ones is just the Ultramarines. Add one of the leadership characteristic of all Ultramarine models with this tactic.
It's good. It's not necessary, but it's good.
It's useful.
It's nice to have that there because now it feels like they're back up to the leadership you're used to them being at. Like your sergeants are leadership 9, your regular guys are leadership.
But leadership is very different from what it used to be. I understand what you're saying.
Is.
But I mean, with leadership, plus 1 leadership, and they show no fear, they're probably not going to be fleeing from the battlefield.
No, which is quite nice. And then the second part is that if a Ultramarine unit falls back, they're able to actually shoot in the same phase in that same turn, just with a -1
Now,
modifier.
let's keep in mind right here that chapter tactics only affect models with chapter tactics. So that's infantry, that's bikes, and dreadnoughts.
Yep.
So your Land Raider's not going to fall back and still shoot.
Ooh, you wish it did.
Yeah, right? I know.
It's okay, there was ways around that. And then we also have the Salamanders here, which this is a huge one. Where,
I like this one.
Oh, it's so good. You can reroll a single fail to hit and a single fail to wound roll made by a Salamander unit with this tactic each time it shoots or fights.
Now, I'm not normally a commenter on forums. I watched a conversation about this one being terrible, garbage, why would you ever, this is useless. And it actually enraged me. This is probably one of the best ones.
Yeah.
Having basically 2 rerolls per unit.
Yeah. This affects
every
characters
phase.
too, right?
Yep.
It's every phase, right?
Every time it shoots or fights.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's both phases.
Yeah. So you have your 5-man tactical squad with a last cannon. It missed his last cannon, well, it re-rolls. Then it rolled a 1-2 wound, well, it re-rolls.
Yeah,
this
huge.
tactic is amazing.
Not to mention we stack with lieutenants, so you can reroll the 2s instead of the 1.
Right.
Yeah. So you're pretty much
The
rolling
Salamander
everything at that
one
point.
is you're going to see a lot more Salamanders in the field. Not that there's more than a few good ones here, but that one is you're going to see I think a lot of.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Those rerolls are big.
So, and then again, we've got other chapter tags which we'll go over in the vault. We've got things like the Black Templars, White Scars, Imperial Fist, Raven Guard, and Iron Hands. So again, guys, if you want to know what they do, check out the vault video there. But moving on from the chapter tactics, we have my favorite page, the stratagems.
Stratagems.
There's so many.
There are 3 pages of stratagems, and just the amount of things you get here. First off, we'll get into it later, but one of the first ones they give you is the option to spend a command point or 3 command points to give a 2nd or 3rd relic to your characters.
Yep.
That is, your captains.
Characters. It's just characters.
Yeah, just characters. That is amazing when you actually see what the relics can do.
Let's just go to the relics real quick because we're talking about that one because we're going to spend a lot of time on stratagems.
Yeah,
We'll jump to the relics.
So we'll jump over to the relics here. We've got, I think it's 3 pages of relics or 2 pages of relics. 2 pages of relics, just these 2.
Oh, okay.
So a bunch of generic ones, and then one for every chapter as well.
So you've got the basic things here, like the Armor Indominus. Pretty much is the same thing it did before. Was a 2-up save, but once per game you can give yourself a 3-up invuln.
Yep.
You have the Shield Eternal, which gives you a 3-up invulnerable save, but the guy has to have a Storm Shield or Combat Shield. But any damage done to him is halved, rounding up.
Yeah.
So that's pretty sweet right there.
Yeah.
You've got the standard of the Emperor Ascendant, which is you basically can automatically pass morale tests. Enemies have a -1 to their leadership, and then if you have a any of the abilities that allow you to fight after you die, you get +1 to the roll to see if you get to fight again.
Obviously, that can only go on the guy with the banner.
Yeah. So it's on the ancient, the chapter ancient, or the Primaris ancient. Yeah. So. One thing to note for the relics, there are no point values for these.
Yeah.
So you don't actually have to pay the points for it. What the ruling says for it is to just pay the regular points you would pay for the equal equipment. So you've got things in here like chain swords, you've got bolt guns, you've got power swords, like that. You just pay the points for the weapons as you normally would, and then you can swap it out with these ones. So for example, we have a chain sword here that is the Teeth of Terra. It gives them +1 strength, -2 to the AP, and 2 damage, but you also get to make D3 additional attacks.
Yeah.
With the person who's carrying that.
Crazy chain sword.
Yeah.
So it's awesome.
That's a good chain sword.
That's a good, you put that on lieutenant, so you got a good kill lieutenant.
Yeah. You've got the Primarch's Wrath, which is a 24-inch range rapid fire 2 bolt gun with strength 5, -1 AP, and 2 damage apiece.
Rapid fire 2.
It's basically a storm bolter with higher strength and more damage, and some actual AP there. You got the Burning Blade, which is +2 strength, -5 AP. So throw that against a character and 1 damage apiece.
So far, all 3 of these weapons, I want them all.
Yep,
of course.
And they're free. I'm not like you're paying like that's a 70-point sword, that's a 30-point sword.
If
like
you look in the back, chain swords are still free, bolt guns are still free, and I think power swords are.
They're 4 to 7 points. I think they're 4 to 7
it's
points.
something like that. They're pretty cheap, but I mean you're getting these awesome weapons for the base cost. And then if you want to bring all 3 of them, it costs you 3 command points. But now you have 3 guys with a ridiculous bolt gun, a ridiculous chainsword, and a ridiculous power sword. Yeah. So that's pretty sweet right there.
And to touch on briefly on stratagems again, when we go back there, you're going to be building your lists differently now because of the stratagems. Yeah. You're going to have them, but we'll talk about that more.
Yeah. Moving from that, we go on to the ones that are chapter and character specific. So we have the Tomb of Malkador. It's for Psychers only, but the person who has it can actually take an additional psychic power from the Librarian's discipline.
That's just a free psychic
It's just a free psychic power, so now your Librarians can walk around with 2 of the psychic powers from that.
I don't think we mentioned that. There's actually 6 powers now.
Yep. Yep, getting onto that. It's actually the next page. So you have access to 6 powers now instead of 3. It kept the 3 from the original index, but added 3 more, which is quite nice. Then you've got the Salamander's Mantle, which is basically +1 toughness to the characteristic of somebody who is a salamander. So
yes, that's for salamanders.
Just them. The Iron Hands have a power axe, which is +2, -3
cover all
AP,
them
2
later
damage.
on.
Yeah.
Let's go see the Ultramarine one.
The Ultramarine one is the Sanctic Halo. This one's pretty sweet.
So good.
Only for an Ultramarine captain. I did take it in our game. Never actually came into play, but it's a 3-up invulnerable save, and they can attempt to deny a psychic power in the psychic phase, just as if they were a psyker.
But the 3-up invulnerable, they'll have to take a storm shield.
Yep. Yeah. So that's pretty sweet right there. Jumping from the relics, we'll just take a quick look at the psychic powers here. We still have the Veil of Time, we still have Might of Heroes, we still have Null Zone. So just a quick reminder on what those are. Veil of Time basically means you get to attack first in the combat phase if you charged. If your opponent charges, then the person gets to choose who attacks first, and then it just goes back and forth like that. Might of Heroes is amazing. You basically get to add 1 to the model strength, toughness, and attack characteristics.
You throw that on Gilliman, you get a problem.
Yeah, he's pretty sweet. And then Null Zone is, it's a casting value of 8. Any Psychers that are within 6 inches of the Psyker, enemy models cannot take invulnerable saves, and have to have the result of their psychic test running up when they make them. So really good at shutting down things like Tzeentch or Thousand Suns or other psychic-based armies. So that's quite nice there. But then we've got new powers here like Psychic Scourge, which is you select an enemy unit within 18 inches, roll a d6 and add your leadership. Then your opponent rolls a d6 and adds leadership of the unit. If you beat them, that unit suffers D3. If you tie them, they suffer, D3 mortal wounds. If you tie, it's 1 mortal wound, and then if they beat you, it does nothing. You've got Fury of the Ancients, which is a 7 to cast, but you you basically have your Psyker roll 3d6, pick something within that range, and then draw a straight line from your Psyker to that target. Okay, that was weird. Every unit underneath that imaginary line suffers a mortal wound. So it's kind of like a nice little beam of just people dying. Then lastly, we have the Psychic Fortress. This one's actually quite interesting, but at the same time, I don't know if you'd ever really use it. It's very circumstantial. Casting value of 5, you pick a Astartes unit within 18 inches, and until the start of your next Psychic phase, they automatically pass morale tests, and you roll a d6 every time they suffer a mortal wound from a Psychic power, and on a 4+, that wound is ignored. So it's a nice way to kind of mitigate the effects of Smite, but...
The original 3 are still the best.
Oh, yeah.
I think you're going to get less mileage out of Null Zone because you can't put that Psychic on a librarian anymore. You can't just zoom forward and get it needs to go. But I think you can put them on a jetpack still, right?
Yep, you can still... I think you can still get them on a jetpack. So.
Okay, so we have Warlord traits, or sorry, Psychic powers here and relics here. I mean...
What are your thoughts on the relics and the Psychic powers that we've talked about so far?
They're okay.
Yep.
We expected these. Everybody expected these in the book.
Yes. Yeah.
You're not going to see game-changing playstyles or army list building with these things.
No.
You generally don't. I mean, sometimes you can make some super special characters, but those are all, you know, I'm not trying to downplay these because they're all great. It's just that they're less exciting than all the stratagems and warlord traits.
Very, very
that actually affect the game and how you want to build your lists.
All right.
So you got those things, some very whatever.
But we're gonna jump back to the stratagems now, so that you know what the relics are, you know what some of the Psychic powers are.
Now, when we go over these stratagems, keep one thing in mind. Again, I'm assuming you watched that bit of video already with Quirk and I. I'm not sure how many command points Matthew had when he played you. Do you know how many he had?
He had 9.
He had 9. Yeah. Quirk went into the game with 15. He finished the game with 5. Now, maybe we should actually go over...
Warlord traits?
You want to go over the Warlord traits?
Let's go over, one more thing before we go back to these stratagems. Because there's 6 Warlord traits and then one very specific chapter. We'll go to the chapter ones as well for the 2 we're going to talk about, Ultramarines and Salamanders.
So just looking at the Warlord traits that you have right off the hop here, you've got Angel of Death, where you subtract 1 from the leadership characteristic of any units within 6 inches of your Warlord. That's... Okay, you're just you're scary.
Okay.
You've got the Imperium Sword. You reroll failed charge rolls with your Warlord. In addition, if your Warlord charges in the charge phase, add 1 to its attack characteristic until the end of the game. We've seen that one before.
In the fight phase.
I'm sorry, in the fight phase. We've seen that one before.
It's okay. It's not great. It's not bad.
Yep.
It's just better than the stock one.
It is.
Yeah.
Just
Iron Resolve, which is add 1 wound characteristic to your Warlord. In addition, roll a die each time your Warlord loses a wound. On the result of a 6, your Warlord shrugs off the damage. That's again.
We've better than the stock one.
We've seen a lot of these before. They're just there with.
It's a boosted stock one, and that's the one I always took for the stock one anyway. So that's the one I would be taking.
Yes.
I like that one.
Next up, we've got Storm of Fire, which is quite nice.
This is the auto for me.
Each time you roll to wound, each time a roll to wound of 6 or more for friendly chapter units within 6 inches of your Warlord in the shooting phase, the armor penetration of the characteristic is increased by 1.
So also your bolters are AP1.
Yeah,
it's essentially like a rending effect for everybody within 6, or an old school rending effect, I guess.
A unit of 10 bikers puts out a crap ton of shots at 12-inch range. Get a captain on a bike with this relic, they're going to do some hurt.
Or Warlord trait.
Warlord trait.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Warlord trait. Yeah, my bad. It is like that one right there, to me, is the best one. Or if you just want to put it on your guys standing by your Devastators and give their heavy bolters better AP on 6.
And there are stratagems for heavy bolters too, so it's ridiculous.
So far, it's not game-breakingly awesome. But it's good. I like it.
Yeah, Warlord trait shouldn't be game breaking.
No, but at this point you're starting to see, okay, there's a few little things we can do where it's like, okay, well, I can stack this with this effect, I can stack this with this unit. So suddenly, all the units that we had before, like our Devastator squads, our Bike squads, they're becoming better, and we haven't even gotten into the chapter-specific stuff heavily. It's just, here's the general stuff that everybody has.
So far, there's the first 4 general ones everybody can pick.
Yeah.
Number 5?
Number 5 is Rite of War. Just everyone within 6 inches of your Warlord automatically passes morale. That's quite nice if you got hordes of guys, but that's not usually going to happen.
It's not a Space Marine thing, right?
They're already going to not fail.
Yeah.
And then Champion of Humanity, you can add 1 to all hit and wound rolls made by your Warlord in the fight phase when targeting enemy characters. That one's a little bit more circumstantial. You kind of have to get your Warlord into combat with the character, and with the new rule set, it's a little bit trickier to do that. But it's nice.
Narrative, whatever. He's a little duelist.
Now we're getting into the awesome ones.
Okay, so we're going to go through 2 chapter-specific ones, and one of them, we'll talk about Ultramarine secondly.
Okay.
Because
the Salamander one.
Yeah,
the Salamander one.
Okay, so the Salamander one is probably the most lackluster
out of all
of them. Because out of everything, even the ones that we just went over, but
your chapter texts are awesome.
Tactics are good. Great. I was the one who played against those tactics. They were very good. Okay. They were very good.
Well, okay, Salamanders with a bunch of I'm backtrack over here. Salamanders with a bunch of flamers, and the captain was Storm of Fire, right? Either way, sorry, they're tactics, but
Okay, so Salamanders have the Rite of War Anvil of Strength. You add 1 strength characteristic to your Warlord.
So that's your Warlord trait. Woo! You can have that if you want. It's okay.
There is one thing to note for this, though. There is actually a thing here that says if you bring any named character as your Warlord, they have to take this Warlord trait if they're part of that chapter.
All sudden, yeah. So if you want to bring Vulcanistan, he's strength 7.
Yeah.
You can't. You do not. You're not able to take any of the other nameless Warlord traits. You have to take the Salamander one. So
you got a named character, whatever. Yeah. So. Now, the Ultramarine one is quite good. I don't think it's the best in the list. We'll go over the rest in another video, but this one's quite good. And the reason why we're all over the place, because everything we talked about so far is going back to stratagems. Yes. So, Ultramarine Warlord trait.
The Ultramarine Warlord trait is Adept of the Codex. So, whilst your Warlord is alive, roll a dice each time you spend a command point to use a stratagem. On a 5+, that command point is immediately refunded.
So, I played a game against Quirk. You saw it, hopefully. He had 15 command points. Every time he used one, he rolled a die, and I think 2 to 3 times he rolled a 5.
Yeah.
And got the command point back. By the end of the game, you just dumped a bunch of command points.
At the end of the game, I was like, you've only got a handful of units left. I've still got like 7 command points. I'm going to spend 3 here. I'm going to spend 1 here. And I'm rolling the dice, getting them back. I'm getting most of them back. So I was like, I'm running out of stratagems to spend these command points on because it's just, for example, the list.
Well, that's careful in that wording. I know what you meant by that.
What did I say?
It's like you're not burning the stratagems. You're not using them.
No,
they're not one use only things.
They're not one use only. But the thing was, there was better options for me to do things. Like for example, I would use a reroll when I didn't really need to use a reroll.
Yeah.
So I just had the command points. I'm like, you know what?
I guess I'll throw a command point. I mean, I got plenty. Yeah.
So just doing things like that.
I like that one a whole bunch.
So
it's so good.
I think it's my favorite.
We'll talk about stratagems here, and just keep in mind the 2 games we played. These are the first 2 we played with the book. We had Matthew with 9, Quirk with 15, and I think that's viable. The brigade is very viable.
Yes.
For reasons. 15 with the ability to get command points back on a 5+.
So during that game, before we get into the stratagems and all the different ones here, if you obviously you've watched it at this point, hopefully they have 15 command points in the beginning because I had Guilliman, I had the brigade for 9, and then just being battle forged gives me an extra 3. And I was probably spending anywhere from 8 to 5, like 6 to 8 command points a turn.
I don't know if it was that many, but maybe.
Oh yeah.
No, not that many.
I was doing a reroll almost every phase.
Reroll, you're throwing away 2 for the. Oh, it's only 1 for line breaker.
It's only 1 for line breaker, but I was throwing a 1 away for line breaker. I was doing.
Well, look, it felt like a lot. I don't know if it was that high, but I mean, Quirk. The point he's trying to make, he's not wrong about. He was throwing command points around.
So. Yeah,
okay, so the first thing he read was relics of the chapter. So you can get extra relics. We went back to the relics.
Yes, so
great.
So you can have those 3 relics if you want them.
So you guys know what command points generally are used for the 3 in the book. Plus there's some special scenarios with extra command point stuff.
So the main ones that you'll usually see are spend 1 command point, reroll a die. Spend 2 command points, interrupt the charge phase so that you can have a unit of yours attack, or spend 2 to automatically pass a morale check. Those are the 3 that are available to everybody right now in match play.
Yep.
Now Space Marines have access to all of these, and one of the first ones that we have is the first thing I put into my list, which is the Linebreaker Bombardment.
So
it's only 1 command point.
It's only 1.
Okay, so remember back in last edition, 7th edition, when the last round of Space Marine Codices came out, when you brought 3 Vindicators, they can do a bombardment attack, or you brought 3 Predators, they do a tank hunter, monster hunter.
Yes, they all combine their fire to make it bigger.
Basically, the old formations, a few of them have made their way in stratagems.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And you'll see as we go through like all of them.
So the first one we have here is the Linebreaker Bombardment, which is the first thing I brought in my list. I was like, you know what, 3 heavies, let's bring 3 Vindicators because use a stratagem in your shooting phase if a Vindicator is within 6 inches of 2 other friendly chapter Vindicators. If you do so, the Vindicators cannot fire the Demolisher cannons this phase. Instead, select a visible point on the battlefield within 24 inches of all 3 vehicles. Roll a die for each unit, friend or foe, within 3 inches of that point. Add 1 to the result if the unit being rolled for has 10 or more models, but subtract 1 if the unit is being rolled for as a character. On a 4+, that unit suffers 3d3 mortal wounds.
Okay, so you're giving up D3 strength 5 hits.
Strength
10. D3 strength 10 hits. But these are 3d3 mortal wounds and a 4-up. Now, if you're going after 1 target, it's risky. It's a 50-50 you actually hit them. But if the guys cluster too close together, they have a spammy horde unit or units just do a bunch of characters try to buff other units. You can hit multiple things with this. Yep. And as you saw in the game, Quirk did in 1 shot 9 mortal wounds to my Titan. He rolled 5, 5, 5, 6.
5, 5, 5, 6. But yeah. So
5, 5, 5, 6, yeah.
It was ridiculous. And again, what was mostly happening was I'd spend the command point, I'd roll, I get it back, I would pick a point. And the thing that I love about this is that you don't have to roll to hit. If you're firing the 3 guns, you've got 3d3, so you're rolling those on average, you're getting about 7.
Well, 6.
6 or 7. Then you have to hit with those, which are usually hitting on 3s. If you've moved, you're hitting on 4s because they're heavy. And then out of that, you're
moving because of 24-inch range guns.
Yeah. So then you have to wound. Then once that's done, then they make their save. If they actually do make their save or have an invuln, then after all that's said and done, you might get 2d6, maybe a d6 worth of wounds.
Yeah.
This was, I pick a point, I can hit multiple units with this. It's only a single die.
And the bubble is
it's
3?
It's a 3 from that point, so it's a 6-inch bubble.
If there are 3 targets, 3 enemy units within 3 inches of a point, so a 6-inch little circle,
yep.
If you could put that down and hit 3 units, I would do this every time.
Of course.
If you do it with 2, I would probably do it as well. If it's 1 target, you did a 1 target and it worked out for you?
I did it on 1 target because I didn't want you getting a save.
Yeah.
And it worked.
So, yeah, all right, sorry about that. We had a little camera issue. I was talking with the line breaker bombardment. So, yeah, you don't want to clump up.
No.
Your characters that are buffing other units can potentially get hit by this.
Can get killed by this.
1 hit.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
no, for sure, actually, what am I saying?
On average, most characters now, for any of them, if it's just
4
a
to
support,
5 wounds.
if it's a support thing, it's anywhere from 4 to 6. Like,
But-
that's the usual average, which is enough damage with 3d6.
Well, the
3 to
thing
3.
is, and this is something I touched on earlier, which I was about to say just a second ago, the main thing about this is I charged his tanks with just the purpose of making them not shoot. They were going to fall back or whatever. But he fell back, and then he did this. And I'm looking at the wording here, and I'm like, he can totally do that. You can fall back and totally fire this thing. So your tanks, which I agree, bumper cars is a bigger problem for Space Marines than other factions, because other factions either have skimmers or have infantry to bubble wrap their tanks better. Space Marines, when you have a Rhino charging a Vindicator is neutered for a turn.
Yep.
Well, with this linebreaker bombardment, you fall back and you fire that linebreaker bombardment, you can.
Yep. Just because rules as written, it doesn't say that you can't. And in the new FAQ, it says that you most certainly can do that. So that was
anything that says you do, and it says you don't shoot and you do this, you can still It's covered in the FAQ.
Yeah, so like smoke launcher, stuff like that. But yeah, linebreaker bombardment was probably one of the first things I tried out. Absolutely loved it. I did it every turn.
So we went through the first 2, and they're great. Great.
Yep.
3 Vindicators are back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Moving on, we've got the same thing for Predators. It's called Kill Shot, 1 command point. Use a stratagem in your shooting phase if a Predator is within 6 inches of 2 other friendly chapter Predators. If you do so, you can add 1 to the wound rolls and damage for all of the Predator attacks that target monsters or vehicles this phase.
So cool. +1 damage and wounding?
They found a way to give them Tank Hunter, Monster Hunter for a command point for a turn.
And you go on last Predators?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so the Predator battle cannon is amazing. It's wounding most vehicles on 3 now. Sorry, on 4s. Now it's 3.
Yeah.
It's wounding most monsters on 4 or 3. Now it's 3 or 2.
No, we have a last
And
cannons
extra
on 2s
damage.
now.
Yeah. Last cannons
Extra
on 2s.
damage. Last cannons on 2s.
D6 +1 damage.
Last cannons on 2s against most vehicles.
That's amazing.
All vehicles except for Forge Rolled, actually.
Yep.
It's Frank 9.
Yeah.
There's no. What's tough?
Keep Lieutenant near them and make them reroll that 1.
So,
yeah.
Kill shot, 1 command point.
1 command point. That's
And again-
going to kill
And
people
again,
every
keep
turn.
this in mind. You're going to build your list
with
command points. Now, while we turn the camera off for a few seconds, Luka did bring something up off camera. We got to let everybody know. You got to learn these.
Yes.
As an opponent, you have to learn
Yeah.
these because you're gonna get cut off guard by both of those.
There was a couple times where just when Steve and I were playing, he would do something, and I caught him off guard with it. And the first one was when you deep struck in, and we'll get to that one, but he deep struck in and lucked out because he was far enough away that I couldn't pull it off.
I was going to go closer, but last minute I tried to go farther away, not because I knew you could do something, but
because of just distances.
Yeah.
But if he had done it, he probably would have regretted it.
Yeah.
So, moving on from kill shot, we have another one of the
This is cool.
This is another one of the stratagems that you pay the points and it affects it. It's called Chapter Master, where it's 3 command points.
This is a weird one.
Yeah.
It is a weird one. There's a reason for it, but use a stratagem before the battle. You select a Dungeon Starter's captain in your army. Replace that model's captain keyword with Chapter Master, and the Rites of Battle ability becomes the following ability. Chapter Master, you can reroll any failed hit rolls for friendly chapter units within 6 inches of this model. You can only use a stratagem once, and your army cannot include 2 Chapter Masters from the same chapter.
So for 3 command points, you give somebody the...
What's the point difference of a chapter master and a captain?
I'm not even sure, to be honest with you.
Well, here's the thing that it kind of comes into play for is that you can take Chapter Masters and not have to forfeit the command points. But there's a lot of army-specific like captains that don't have the chapter master rule. So you can actually spend the 3 command points and give them the chapter master special rule.
You may,
exactly.
You may want to. I think this one, in my opinion, is too expensive. Granted, you spend the 3 points and you have that special rule for the rest of the game. I don't think I would personally use it ever. But that doesn't mean I can be very wrong. That could be an auto-include for your army. Well, after you play a few games, you found out a nice combination of you want these always re-rolling. I'll spend 3 command points for that. Because I mean, it's 3 command points that benefits your army for the rest of the game. Why not just make a generic command? Either.
I think it's more for just getting the name characters who aren't already chapter masters. Now I'm going to pause on that for 1 second. There is something that came up that Matt and I were talking about when it comes to the Ultramarines and the relics of the chapter and the chapter master one, which is you spend these command points before you start the game. So if you're playing Ultramarines and you have the Ultramarine Warlord trait, do you get to reroll these command points?
Well, go back to the Ultramarine Warlord trait.
It says whilst your Warlord is alive.
Yeah, well, he's alive.
So is a Ultramarine player with that Warlord trait able to re-roll these command points before the army's even
I don't play Ultramarines. I would say yes. I would let my opponent do so.
I wouldn't care.
I see the guy arguing no, but I don't think he's a valid. I don't know. I'd say yes.
It's one of those weird things a little bit wonky.
Somebody will argue it, but I don't think he has a leg to stand on, but you never know, like whatever.
Yeah. So sorry, I did cut you off there.
No, I was going to say, because the next one, what I don't think we mentioned, and maybe you did, there also are chapter-specific stratagems as well.
Yes.
Because the next one is an Ultramarine one. They're not in order for some reason.
Yeah, they're kind of, they're like alphabetical order. There's not any specific rhyme or reason to this.
Space Marine, Space Marine, Space Marine, Ultramarine, Space Marine, Space Marine, Space Marine.
White
Scars.
Yeah, it's all over.
So we'll hit the Ultramarine one right now.
Okay, so the Ultramarine one's kind of cool. It's 1 command point. It's Scions of Guilliman. Use a stratagem when your Ultramarine infantry or Ultramarine biker unit is selected to attack in a shooting or fight phase. You can reroll all hit rolls of 1 for that unit for the rest of the phase. If the unit is a tactical squad or intercessor squad, reroll all failed hit rolls instead.
1 command point. Like, it gives you that bubble far away from your lines. You're going to use this command point.
When you and I were playing, I had Guilliman who has a bubble of that ability. But it was nice to do that because, say, for example, I wanted my last cannons on the other side of the board to fire.
All captains have that ability.
Well, no, he does it for hit and wound.
Oh, is it hit and wound?
No, just Guilliman does it for hit and wound. But again, all captains do that as well.
It's the captain special rule that you can give to a unit for a command point for a turn.
Yeah. But it also makes because the captain's one is only re-rolling once. This allows you to have re-roll all failed to hit if it's a tactical squad, or intercessor, which you can have a tactical squad with last cannons, heavy bolters, missile launchers.
Yeah.
So when I had last cannons over on the side of the board, I'm like, okay, I really want this to hit. I'm going to spend the 1 command point. I'm Ultramarines. I have the Warlord trait. I'm going to re-roll 5
It's 1 last cannon, but it's 1 command point, and as you can tell, especially Ultramarines, you can have the command points to spend.
Yep. Yeah. So that was just the Ultramarine one. It kind of comes in handy. It's very situational where it's like, okay, you know what, I got them over there. I got these guys over here. I'm going to use this.
We get to our first expensive one.
This is one of the... I never had to use this one. I was kind of upset about it. But.
Josh actually used this one once. He did not roll very well, so it didn't do anything.
So this is the Orbital Bombardment.
It is 3 command points. That's a hefty price right there. But it can only be used once per battle in the shooting phase if your Warlord didn't move in the movement phase. Instead of shooting your Warlord's weapons, select a visible point on the battlefield and roll a d6 for every unit within d6 of that point. Subtract 1 from the result if being rolled for characters. On a 4+, the unit being rolled for suffers d3 mortal wounds. That could be a really good opening move.
Yep.
Or it could be a really good late game move.
It's 3 command points, so you don't want to start. You don't want to toss it every turn. If it was 1 command,
you can't. It's only once per game.
Yeah, the Orbital Bombardment is once per game.
Once per battle.
This is the one you can burn.
Okay, this one's once per battle, but I mean, it would still be too cheap at 1, possibly still too cheap at 2. 3 feels right. Yep. It may do nothing.
Yeah, there's a chance.
But I mean, I know you're saying, well, the Linebreaker Bombardment's better, but you also have to buy 3 Vindicators to use that one. This one you just.
This is something you've got in your back pocket just by being a Space Marine.
There's an ant on the table. Oh, he flew away.
Okay.
Yeah, no, 3 command points for a possible boom.
Yep. Whereas,
well, I mean, we've all had plenty of games where I got to get that one guy dead right there. That one tactical or that one guardsman just hiding in the corner, and I got to deal with this. I don't have the... I'll spend 3 command points.
Or literally bombard him.
Hopefully get him. On a 4+, I'm going to get him.
Yep.
And he's dead.
Other thing that I was thinking
that can win you a game.
It could. The one thing that I was thinking of is that at the start of a game, if somebody's deployed and they've got a very elite army and they have everything important in a Death Star, boom, right here, What
do you mean by Death Stars? When you have all your characters trying to buff
all your
something?
characters buffing, all your biggest units and stuff like that, all sitting in one spot. You go, okay, opening move, shooting phase. I didn't move my Warlord. Right here, I rolled a 4. Everybody within 4 inches at that point on a 4+, 5+ for characters are suffering D3 mortal wounds. It is a wonderful way to start crippling your opponent's army right off the hop.
Well, your opponent knows you have it, right? Because every Space Marine army just has this in his pocket if he wants. Like, it's going to get in their head.
Yeah.
So, expensive, not overpowered, not too good.
You won't be killing
but
any
usable.
characters, though.
No, you won't.
No, but I mean,
it's not a 5+. You're hitting a character. You won't kill them, but you will put the hurt on them. Where, like, there was a good couple of times where I've had Guilliman in our game where I'm like, you know what? He's got 9 wounds. I don't even care. I'm going to move up here. You got him down quite a bit, and I'm like,
Look,
I'm worried now.
We've all been in the game where we need to do 1 more wound to that knight or to that Helldrake or to that whatever to make you drop a bracket. Drop that bracket.
Yep. All right. Moving on from the orbital bombardment, we go on to one that's a little bit, it's actually very circumstantial, but I like it. It's cluster mines. It's 1 command point. Use a stratagem when a scout bike squad falls back. Select 1 enemy unit within 1 inch of the unit before it moves and roll a d6. On a 2+, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds.
It's only 1 command point, so it's pretty cheap.
You're like, oh, okay, why not? But it's one of those things where it's just like, first off, you have to have a scout squad survive combat.
Scout
bike squad.
Scout bike squad has to survive a round of combat. If they manage to do that and you decide, yeah, I'm going to fall back, then you can fall back and then roll on a 2+, they suffer D3 mortal wounds. Could be good if they actually did fairly well in combat, or if they've got multiple things in combat and they want to just kind of get that last little move out of there. It's also a really nice way to, if it's 1 guy left with 1 wound, do that, spend the command point, roll a 2+, you got him, he's dead, and now everybody else who was in that combat's freed up. But again, it feels very, very like circumstantial.
Well, I mean, I can think of, I know I'm going off the rails here, but I can think of ways that you're going to use this.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes you go tie down a Land Raider with your scout bikes. They set the forward to go charge it so it doesn't shoot, has to fall back or whatever. And sometimes your opponent doesn't want to fall back because if they get their Psyker over there, they can do like mortal wounds, hopefully kill them or whatever. If that fails, you're right. It's super situational. No, but you see where I'm going. I mean, if you're a Raven Guard player, you probably have a bunch of scout bikers. They can play around. It's 1 command point, and possibly having these guys do mortal wounds.
Yeah, D3 mortal wounds.
We are starting to see a lot of mortal wounds potential here. Like you've got the 3D, in the 3D3 there, you've got the D3 there, you've got D3 there.
But I see this as playing the movement phase. Cluster Mines is playing the movement phase, and that's where I believe all games are won. That's the game. That's where I like to play the movement phase.
Yep. So moving on from cluster mines, we've got masterful marksmanship. So use a stratagem when a stern gun veteran squad is selected to attack in the shooting phase. You can add 1 to all wound rolls for that unit with the special issue bolt gun attacks that phase. It's 1 command point. So basically, you're adding +1 to wounds. So usually the strength 4 bolt guns are probably wounding. It changes depending on the chapter that you're with, but the strength 4, toughness 4.
+1 to wound is like. It is so good.
Yes.
With the way things work now, you have to get out of the mindset of +1 wound, whatever.
Yeah,
that is so good. You're now wounding everything on the table, at least a 5.
Yep. Yeah. Wounding vehicles on 4s for the most part.
A Warlord Titan on a 5.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, +1 to wound, awesome. 1 command point. I'd use if I had Stern Guard, I'm throwing that command point on them every time they fire. Yep.
Next one we have here is 1 command point. It is Empiric Channeling. Use a stratagem at the start of your psychic phase if basically a starting psyker is within 6 inches of at least 2 other psykers. The psyker can immediately attempt to manifest 1 additional psychic power that turn. When attempting to manifest this power, you can add 2 to the psychic test. So here's where this kind of gets a little bit wonky, is that, say for example you want to cast Smite, that means, bless you, that means now you are doing D6 damage on a 9, and if you roll an 11, you don't peril. Because the only way you peril is on double 1 or double 6. So now instead of having to roll that wonderful 11, 5 and a 6 to get D6 damage, you need a 9.
9, yeah.
So that means you've got 6 and 3, 5 and 4 as additional options there.
Wait, doesn't the wording on peril say double 6?
Double 6 and double 1. That's the only thing that you will peril on.
Yeah, but.
So you can get
if it says double 6, double 1, if you show 1-1 or 6-6, you peril no matter what the final result is.
But what I'm saying is that now you can do a D6 damage smite on a 9 instead of a 11.
So you roll a 10, you're still not periling.
This one's probably not one you're going to base your army around, but it's going to be used every now and then.
It's nice to have that on there, especially with all the different psychic powers you have available now. But it's mostly the fact that you can now have a greatly increased chance of casting Smite without having to worry about perils. Fantastic. I like it.
So they can cast one additional. So, I guess jog my memory on the way the psychic spells. It's like when you buy the psyker, he knows. Say they know 2, right?
They know 2. On Space Marines, they know 2, and they
know
stop
2, and one of them is Smite.
So they can cast.
Normally what'll happen
No. They know 2.
Sorry, they know 2.
and Smite.
And
sorry.
So they could cast all
3 powers.
Yeah, so they could cast all 3 that turn essentially with this.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind.
Yeah. So that's pretty sweet right there. Next up, we have Data Link Telemetry.
Yep.
Telemetry. Yep.
Okay. 1 command point. Use a stratagem in the shooting phase just before a whirlwind shoots. Steve likes this one. If the target is in the if the target of the whirlwind's shooting attack is visible to a friendly character land speeder unit within 12 of the target unit.
Chapter.
Sorry, chapter. What did I say?
Character.
Oh, sorry, chapter.
Yeah.
So it's the old whirlwind land speeder formation.
Yep.
If the speeder can see the target and it's been 12 of the target, your whirlwind automatically hits. 1 command point.
That's so good.
Get all the old vehicle formations.
I'm buying whirlwinds again. You guys have them if you have them in your list already because you use an old formation. Well, hey, there you go. You didn't waste your money by buying 3 Vindicators. You didn't waste your money by buying 3 Predators. You didn't waste your money by buying whirlwinds and speeders. Yeah.
Yep.
Like you have rules here, and that is good job on Games Workshop on that one.
That was one I looked at briefly. I was like, you know what? I don't really think I'm going to use that one. But now
I like that. Auto hitting?
Yeah.
Who?
Double taking that one? Yeah. I thought, because when I first glanced at it, I thought it was the target had to be within 12 of the whirlwind, not within 12 of the speeder. So yeah, that's way better than
I believe the whirlwind does not require line of sight to the target.
Probably not. It says visible to the land speeder.
Yeah.
So while Steve checks that, we're going to move on to the Hellfire Shells. This is one that I really, really like. It's 1 command point. Use a stratagem just before a Astartes infantry model attacks with a heavy bolter. You can make a single to hit roll with this weapon. However, if it does hit, the target suffers D3 mortal wounds.
Yeah, that's cool.
So instead of going, okay, I got 3 shots, I'm not in rapid fire range, or I'm in rapid fire range, 6 shots, whatever, I'm going to see if I can do some damage. This is just 3+, got it, D3 mortal wounds.
What?
It's Hellfire rounds.
Makes heavy bolters that do D3 mortal wounds on a single hit.
So you select a model with a heavy bolter.
For 1 command point.
Yeah.
Model with a heavy bolter. Makes a single to hit roll. If it goes off, you don't need a wound. It's just D3 mortal wounds.
That's like an extra smite.
Yeah.
And this one can choose. It doesn't have to be the closest either. So it's like a better smite with longer range for 1 command point.
Instead of needing to hit on 2d6 with a 6,
yeah,
casting smite on 2d6 with a 6.
Yeah, so you're
1 on a 3 or 4 if you moved. Ooh, D3 mortal wounds. Again, there's that little assassination thing.
Yeah, then I assume all the characters and everything augment that as well. So like rerolling
because
with the chapter mastery rerolling all
rerolling ones. You got.
Did you assemble a heavy bolter just because you thought it looked cool? Now you can use it.
There you go.
Always bring 1 heavy bolter. Always bring 1.
Now I'm not sure if you guys who are watching this are keeping in mind here. I'm going through all these things and we're talking about how it's 1 command point, 1 command point, 2 command points, all this other stuff. Ultramarines on a 5+ get these command points back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
I love that warlord trait. There is a 33% chance that you can do these for free.
You know what? You love that warlord trait, right?
I do.
I don't think it's the best one.
I don't know if it is.
I'm saying there are other good ones as well.
I can't remember which. I can't remember the other ones.
Ravenguard, but we'll get to that.
All right.
The Ravenguard.
Yeah.
All right, moving on from Hellfire Shells, we've got Bolter Drill. It's 1 command point. Use a stratagem before. Oh,
that's Pure Fist.
That's Pure Fist. Oh, we've gotten to all the special ones. Okay, sorry. You guys just got a taste of the whole video. All right. Sorry. Flamecraft. This is
we just can't cover everything.
So it's 1 command point. Use a stratagem before a Salamander unit attacks in the shooting phase. Add 1 to the wound rolls made for all the unit's flame weapons for the purpose of the stratagem. A flame weapon is any weapon profile whose names include the word flame, i.e. Flamer, Heavy Flamer, Flamestorm Cannon, Flamestorm Gauntlet. Vulcan's Gauntlet of the Forge is also a flame weapon.
Yeah, so he's pretty much got a Heavy Flamer built into his glove or whatever.
And that's not infantry, right? It's vehicles as well, right?
It just says a Salamander unit.
Dreadnoughts.
Heavy Flamers on vehicles, I assume?
Yeah.
Wait, so you
Solid
pick 1 unit, right?
1 command point.
You pick 1 Salamander unit.
For some reason, in my head, I thought it was like army-wide all
No,
flamers.
no. Oh, that'd be scary.
1 command
I'm
point?
like, wait a second, 1 command point?
Okay, moving on from that, we've got the Auspex scan. It's 2 points. This is the one that I almost got Steve with, but he moved out of range. So this stratagem, you use this stratagem immediately after your opponent sets up a unit that is arriving on the battlefield as a reinforcement within 12 inches of one of your Adeptus Astartes infantry units. your unit can immediately shoot at that enemy unit as if it were the shooting phase, but you must subtract 1 from all the resulting hit rolls.
So basically 2 command point interceptor if they come within 12 of you.
Better, because you can still shoot in your next turn.
Yep.
Because
It's -1, but you're right. You don't stop yourself from shooting. That is so good.
I know.
That is so
Think of
good.
all the things that Deep Strike. Or coming from reserve.
Here's the thing. Steve and I were playing, and I had my tactical squad with a last cannon, and he put his obliterators right there. I'm like,
and this is,
excuse me for a minute, I have to check something.
This is one of those opponent must know things too.
Yeah.
Because
I didn't know this when we played our game.
Yeah. No. So, and I looked back. I was like, "Oh, are you within 12?" He's like, "No, I just moved back." I was like, "I'm not going to tell you why."
And in a world,
I'm upset that you moved back.
And in a world with command points, I've personally done and had people playing against me numerous times where they deep strike or do the whatever deploy on the table, coming from reserve or reinforcements.
Yep.
Oh yeah, reinforcements.
They come 9 inches away from me and charge. Or I charge them, because in a world of command points, you can reroll 1 die and make that charge.
Yeah.
This is gonna make that guy pause, think twice.
Yeah. Because if you have a Terminator squad land down there, and it's like, okay, just so you know, I've got a heavy flamer here and a last gunner or like a Devastator squad with a bunch of heavy bolters right there, I'd be worried. Because the thing is, you can do that, and it says treat it as if it was a shooting phase, which means you can jump back and do Hellfire shells for D3 mortal wounds.
Yeah. So all of a sudden you have the flamer that's automatically hitting.
You have
and then the heavy bolter that's going to do
on
D3
a 4,
mortal wounds.
it's -1, but if it gets that 4+, it's D3 mortal wounds.
It's a good one. 2 command points, a little more expensive than the rest. It's a good one.
Yeah. This is so moving on from that. This is one Steve really likes. It's 1 command point. It's called Tactical Flexibility. Use the stratagem at the start of any of your movement phases. Select a friendly Adeptus Astartes unit with the combat squad ability that has 10 models. This unit immediately splits into 2 separate units, each containing 5 models.
Yeah. So you can combat squad in the middle of the game.
There have been games in 7th, not in 8th, because I haven't played a lot of Marines, where I've had 10-man squads inside of a vehicle, and all of a sudden it's like, I wish I combat squatted them. As long as nobody's dead, you can then do it mid-game.
Mm-hmm. So that's pretty sweet right there. It's also really good for late game if you start losing a bunch of units and you still have a 10-man squad, but you want 2 objectives.
Yep.
Split them in half, run different ways.
Now, then there's the argument of maybe you should always keep them combat squatted, but I don't think you always want to combat squatted. So either way...
That's when you start getting into the whole drop thing, where it's, okay, I've got combat squads, because you do that during deployment. Well, now every 10-man squad that you have becomes 2 drops.
Well, the thing is the reason why I don't think that's necessarily that big a deal is because I probably want to play with a brigade now every time.
Yep.
Because I want command points. Mm-hmm. So I'm probably going to go second. And again, I think I said this already in this video. I played against Quirk. I went first. He won. First time I've seen that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
well, unless it was a...
Well, yeah.
No, yeah. The first time Quirk's ever won, guys.
Well, it's...
This
edition's all Alpha Strike, turn 1.
Yep.
Alpha Strike. I've seen close combat armies go first and lose because they're close combat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But if you got a lot of guns and you go first, you probably won the game so far. Now we see a change, and this book is changing.
Yeah.
The way we play in the game. Maybe we're making lists.
So, along with the going on from the tactical flexibility, we go on to another one that's specific to a weapon there. It's 1 command point, it's flak missiles. You can use the stratagem just before a friendly Adeptus infantry model attacks a unit with the fly, that can fly, with a missile launcher. You can only make a single to hit roll with the weapon, however, add 1 to the hit roll, and if it hits, the target suffers D3 mortal wounds.
There you go, there's another weird little smite specific.
Yep.
Now, do you want to do one shot that does -2 your save and D6 wounds, or do you want to do just D3 mortal wounds?
Here's the thing.
This is +1 to hit, though.
That's exactly it. This is +1 to hit. That will negate the hard to hit effect on a lot of flyers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you can do a flak missile with an Auspex scan. That will negate the Auspex scan, so now you're firing at a regular ballistic skill if it's at a flyer.
Well, if the flyer... I guess,
jump troops are flyers.
Yeah.
Anything skimmer with
D3 mortal wounds. So that, yes!
So you can,
that missile launcher can kill D3 guys instead of 1.
Yes. But here's the thing. You can if you have the command points, usually Ultramarines can do this. You can pop a Auspex scan with a flak missile with a Hellfire shell.
Okay, but I mean, you have to have a squad with a missile launcher and heavy bolter.
Not unheard of.
Maybe not now.
Maybe, well, not now. Not now, obviously. But I'm saying.
Can't say I've ever faced that.
That's 4 command points. But yeah, no,
and then
totally.
On a 5 up.
And then on a 5 up for
well,
Ultramarines.
Start getting them
you
back.
know what? Because here's the thing. I've been saying for a long time, too. Well, a few weeks anyway, that never bring a missile launcher. Missile launchers are traps. Lav cannons are better missile launchers in every way. The D6 shot is a trap version. Don't fire it. This might make me want to put missile launchers back into my tactical squads.
Yeah.
Actually, it definitely would. That is really good. Missile launchers now have viability, not just automatic lav cannons now.
Yep. Moving on from that, we've got the Armor of Contempt. It's 1 command point. Use a stratagem on a vehicle, basically, a Space Marine vehicle, if it suffers a mortal wound. Roll a d6 for that mortal wound and each other mortal wound inflicted on this model for the rest of the phase. On a 5+, that mortal wound is ignored and has no effect.
Only 1 command point for that, too.
1 command point. So if somebody starts shooting you with psychic powers or crazy mortal wound stuff or anything that's going to target vehicles.
Yeah.
Okay, somebody just line break and bombarded you.
Yeah, basically.
I'll use a command point. I ignore the first one on a 5.
And everyone after that. So that's
the rest of the phase, too. Not just the rest of that shot. The rest of the phase.
Again,
you're going up against Zinch or something.
If you're the opponent, you have to be careful how you do the order of all your attacks.
And it's only 1 command point.
Yep.
Yeah. A lot of these are only 1 command point.
A lot of these are only 1 command point.
Which is
great. It's great.
It's very, especially if you're running a brigade.
Oh, yeah.
Which everyone will probably start doing. Oh, maybe I could be wrong.
So
I think you would, but...
Moving on from that, we have Only in Death Does Duty End. This is 2 command points, and this is one of the ones where I think the relic comes into play, the one with the banner. No, actually it's not. I was thinking something else here. Use a stratagem when a Adeptus Astartes character is slain. That model summons the strength for 1 final attack and can immediately either shoot as if it was your shooting phase or fight as if it were your fight phase. This stratagem is not committed with the banner ability. So yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I cancel out the banner ability.
It is 2 command points.
It's 2 command points, but here's the thing.
You put on Robote or something.
Robote Guilliman. You have any of your characters with crazy attacks. You've got guys who are buffed up like crazy. You've got guys with the awesome relic weapons in there.
Even
you spend 2 command points.
I feel like characters aren't like maybe like he as a character can do some damage, but even like a chapter master or like a captain, they don't really do that much damage.
I'm thinking about a Terminator or even a regular character with a combi plasma.
Yeah,
I'll spend 2 points to overcharge that combi plasma and rapid fire range as he dies. Why not?
All right. Next up, we have this one's 3 command points. It's a little bit hefty, but it is Honor the Chapter. Use a stratagem at the end of the fight phase. Select a Adeptus Astartes infantry or biker unit. That unit can immediately fight for a 2nd time.
That could be game winning. Could be.
I don't like combat, no secret, but that's good.
You do that for like Black Templars, or do it for big nasty characters.
Well,
like
sometimes you just did one, like you need to kill one more guy, and you're done the fight phase.
Yeah.
You got to try again to finish him off.
This is again like the same thing with the orbital bombardment.
Or
there's 3 command points that can win the game because there's 1 guy left you need to kill.
Exactly. And it was what? How many command points?
3 command points.
3 command
points.
It's
hefty, but at the same time,
I can see why though. It's potential. It's game changer. It can be game changer.
That is a way to chop down hordes.
Well, the thing is, if it was 1 command point, you use it all. You use it all the time. They don't want you to have.
Goodness, would that be
so
so
nothing
powerful.
Nothing here is an auto use, other than the line break bombardment. I think is auto use if you have those things.
Yep.
But nothing here is just I'm gonna use it all the time. But they're all got use. But I want to waste 1. Do I want to waste 2? Do I want to waste 3 on this one? But this one sometimes you have to.
How expensive would it be to bring 3 Vindicators and 3 Predators?
They're ones.
Would that be a little too much?
They're pretty pricey.
The Vindicators are 160 a piece.
Because I would probably do. I love
480?
the Tank Hunter, Monster Hunter, the Kill Shot. I love that one.
Yeah, super good. Next up, we have 1 command point, Wisdom of the Ancients. This is one I kind of wish I used, but I never got around to doing it in our game. Use a stratagem at the start of any phase. Select a friendly Adeptus Astartes character chapter Dreadnought. Until the end of that phase, you can reroll all hit rolls of 1 for chapter units within 6 inches of that Dreadnought.
He becomes a captain.
Basically, he becomes a chapter master.
Captain. There's only ones, right?
Oh, yeah, sorry, ones.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Dreadnought becomes a captain.
Well, but it also works for himself.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
He's a captain for a turn.
In our game,
captain for a turn.
I had my Dreadnought right next to my guys' last cannons. And this is again why you need to know your stratagems, because I never used that, and I kind of wish I did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you spread them out across the battlefield. You put that on.
Oh, because you one-shot my land ready with your Dreadnought.
Yeah.
You do that with the new Redemptor.
Oh, no, you did 2 shots. But
Yeah. All of a sudden, your new Redemptor with is like 18 shots plus some rerolling ones.
So that's always fun. Death to the Traitors. This is 1 command
I
point.
like this one.
It's awesome, but it's very circumstantial. Use a stratagem when the Adeptus Astartes unit is chosen to attack in the fight phase. Each time you roll a hit roll of 6+ for a model in this unit during the phase, it can, if it was targeting a Heretic Astartes unit, immediately make an extra attack against the same unit using the same weapon. These extra attacks cannot themselves generate any further attacks.
that is they're just borrowing the
Death of the False Emperor.
Death of the False Emperor for command point.
I'm not the biggest fan of Loyalists, but I like that. I love Chaos for Death of the False Emperor.
Give that to Guilliman and watch him wipe out cultists.
I love this ability. It makes me want to play some Loyalists.
Yep.
Just because of that command point.
Yeah, no, if you want to play combat, you can play combat here.
Yeah. But again, that's very you have to be against the right army to use it, which is whatever. So
We got one more.
And then we have one left. These are tremor shells. It's 1 command point.
I don't remember this one.
Use a stratagem when a Thunderfire cannon is selected to attack in the shooting phase. Subtract 1 from all wound rolls made when firing the Thunderfire cannon this phase. But if it targets a unit, if the target is hit, then during the next turn, have its movement characteristic and the result of any advance and charge rolls made for it. The tremor shells have no effect on Titanic units and units that can fly.
Interesting. So
Wait
it's
a minute.
like give them difficult terrain-ish thing?
Oh, okay. So Thunderfire cannons are they're pretty crap now.
I've only played against them once in this edition, and they did nothing.
They're garbage now.
They couldn't even kill Poxwalkers.
But depending on how many points the Thunderfire cannons, I have to go double check it out. Potentially, some berserkers get too close to your lines. You can either shoot them down, or you can slow them down with the Thunderfire cannon and shoot at something else.
Being Space Marines, you
but
should
it's only to slow your opponent down. And I like to play the game in the movement phase. Having a unit being slowed for 55 points and a command point can affect the game positively. But that means you're buying a Thunderfire cannon with the purpose of feeding it the command points. Now, again, you have a lot, but you don't want to waste them either.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't have enough experience to say whether or not to do this or not. But I can see the value. I can see the value to it.
I assume there's a lot of Space Marine players out there that like to build a list with options. So for 55 points, you throw in an option, I suppose.
So what does it have exactly?
Which one?
It's movement characteristic.
Yeah. Have the movement characteristic the result of any advance and charge rolls made.
Okay. I can see some use for it.
Yeah.
It's got some
You
pretty
target
good range,
you target a
too.
unit that you want to charge. That you know is probably not going to die from your combat. With its half movement after you've charged the unit or vehicle, maybe it can't get away from you with a fallback.
Makes it harder to fall back in.
Well, here's the thing. If you were to fire this at, say, 30 boys, that means in the movement phase, even if they roll a 6 for the advance, they're moving 6.
3. So, yeah, plus
They're moving a grand total of 6.
That neuters them per turn.
And that means the farthest they could possibly charge is 6.
And if you
So
target
you stay 13 inches away.
Yeah. Okay.
Or sorry, 14 inches away.
So there are uses of this thing
They
then.
cannot get to you.
If you target the one unit that's got the war boss behind it, you're also slowing down that war boss too, because he's not going to spend the time walking around
you
that
can't
whole
get around it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Thunderfire cannons have a use now. I'm sure you thought of more while we're just sitting here doing this, but yeah, if movement is as important as I say it is, you can slow your opponent down.
Yeah. So all in all, I think one of the biggest things in this book is the 3 pages of stratagems.
Yes.
Because it opens up so many different options. It opens up so many different things. If you are a Space Marine player, memorize these pages. If you play against a Space Marine player, memorize these pages because you do not want to get caught off guard by some of these.
So there's,
These there's a lot of people out there who play like 4, 5, 6 different armies, right?
yes.
Imagine all these codexes coming out with these 3 pages of stratagems. I assume most of them would all have 2 to 3 pages of stratagems. It's going to be hard to specialize armies at first.
I think it's a little daunting at first glance. I think we're going to get used to seeing when somebody brings Vindicators, 3 of them.
You know, it's going to be
you're going to learn about this.
You're going to see the line breaker bombardment.
I think these are going to become like Army special rules. I may not know Tau fantastically, but I know that there were Storm Surges. I had a lot of you know certain things, and you're going to learn these things throughout the game. So it is scary at first, but I think we're going to get to understand these quite well.
Yeah.
I hope, and I think we expect the remaining books coming out to have all this kind of stuff. So we have a brand new book here with all the rules, lots of stratagems,
lots of new stuff,
warlord traits, relics, new libraries discipline, tactical objectives. We're not to cover them. Chapter rules. So if all the books come out like with this kind of format in mind, Sept rules, dynasties, clans, craft worlds, cabals.
See that?
Legions.
That sounds amazing.
Right? So I am super, super impressed with this book. I played a game against Quirk. Was yesterday we played?
Yesterday.
Yesterday we played. Which you can see right now, and hopefully you already saw, where he used this. I lost bad. I lost embarrassingly bad, but I walked away and thought the game was fantastic, and I wasn't even embarrassed I lost to Quirk.
That's saying a lot.
Yeah, but all jokes aside, though, I'm not saying this book was so broken that, it's cheesy, what are we going to do? This power creep is going to get... It wasn't broken. Nope. It did not feel overpowered. No. I feel he made some good decisions. I feel that my Alpha Strike wasn't as crucial as it's been in every game previously. I am so impressed with this book as of right now, and hope that every remaining book comes out, because you built an army that was different from everything I've seen people build so far in 8th edition. Where you span, well, basically, what was your list?
Okay, so just to give you a quick overview of what my list was, I had a chaplain, I had a captain, and I had a librarian.
Yes.
I just brought those because I wanted to bring them. I want to see what they did.
Yep.
So
Primaris librarian too.
Primaris librarian. So those are my 3 HQs. For 6 troops, I brought 6 5-man tactical squads.
With a heavy weapon.
And each one of them had a heavy weapon. So I had 3 las cannons, I had 2 missile launchers, and a plasma cannon. Then for my elites, I had an apothecary, a servitor squad, just because I wanted to see if they would do anything, and then a dreadnought. For my heavy support, I brought the 3 vindicators.
Yep.
And fast attack was 3 assault marines.
So I spent the game
And then Guilliman.
killing his infantry with the mindset of, I'm going to just charge his vindicators and take them out of the game. I'm not going to kill them with my combat, but they're going to stop them from shooting at me.
And you did nothing wrong. You targeted my last cannons.
I went every last cannon first.
You went for the last cannons because they were the heavy hitters.
Yep.
You ignored all my characters because they were in the middle of the board. They were kind of stuck there.
Yep.
And you went for my vindicators because you.
But they were able to fall back and do their damage. And then once Guilliman broke free from the lines and decided to come out and play, it was at that point where I probably picked the wrong targets, but I don't know if it's hard to say, because my old mindset of take out your long range weaponry and then I'll win the game because I'll just outshoot you didn't work, because they were more of a distraction. Like, you had so many small squads, which was absolutely the wrong way to go literally 2 weeks ago.
Yep. But I had a bunch of small squads. He had to target them. He had to basically designate a lot of firepower to make sure that a unit was dead, then a lot of fire to make sure a unit was dead, get really close with the spike squads to take out these units that had the heavy weapons. And while he was doing that, I'm using the stratagems and everything that I had available for the Ultramarines and just spending stuff on rerolls, spending stuff on psychic powers, making everything more powerful, taking out a lot of his heavy hitters, and then I just came in with Guilliman, I came in with the Vindicators, and it just...
It was such a super killy game. Okay, so when you played Matthew, was it super killy?
Oh,
you played Necrons, right?
No. First game, I was against Josh. You'll see that game later on.
You played Matthew first, though.
I did play Matthew first. I played Chaos.
Right.
I brought a very vanilla
That's up today
Chaos
right now.
list.
Hopefully you watched it.
If you watched it, you've already seen my list. It was a Demon Prince and a Sorcerer. 3 squads of 10 Chaos Space Marines, each in a Rhino. Corn Berserkers.
You went 10 man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Each in a Rhino. And
did Matthew go 10 man, or did he go 5-man squads?
He did, but he combat squadded.
He did. Okay.
Yeah. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure. I think he had a battalion, so he actually only had 6 command points over 9. I can't quite remember. You guys, if you watch the video, you'll know. But
a little bit longer for you. But yeah, seeing a viability of making lists, because I've been working on making lists as few drops as possible with as many like las cannon type weapons as possible. That list wouldn't work against Quirk. What he did in this list, and that's a good thing. I mean, that's in a positive way. I'm like the way this wants you to play. I don't know how to say it any other way. Like I really think this is solid of how they're kind of guiding you. Because before playing with these indexes, they're fine, but you can just see it's pretty much bring the most efficient killing for your points you possibly can.
Because that's all you have.
Whereas this brought tactics and gameplay. This wasn't me shooting his guns and then that's it. It was moving was important. He blocked his line with the Vindicators, which he didn't care if I charged them or not. Like it was very, very different from everything I've played so far. I've played a lot of 8th edition games.
Yeah, because if you had done that a week or 2 weeks ago, if you had charged my Vindicators, they're out of the game. They're not doing anything.
Right.
They're now
and that feels so
stuck.
bad.
For like
that does not feel good.
No, because you're stuck there. You're going
almost 500 points.
I spent so many points on this. They can kill stuff.
Just shy of 5.
But I can't. Now it's okay. Well, that's nice. I'm going to back up and do even more damage to you because now you're all bunched up around where you charged.
So, solid book. I think we can't go on any farther than that. We are going to talk about some new models that are in the book. And again, if you want to see all the chapter stuff, it'll be in the vault because this video is getting far too long. Hopefully you're still with us. It's way longer than we've already expected. We try to condense as much as we can. We're going to briefly go over the new models that are in the book as well. So we have like Reavers, the Redemptor Dreadnought. Now, actually, let's talk about the Redemptor real quick first. Because the ability to take the Venerable with double autocannon is gone. They don't have a model for that from Games Workshop, so you can't take that model anymore.
Yeah.
It might be in one of the Forge World indexes, but it's not in this codex. It's not in the Space Marine Codex. But you can get the Redemptor Dreadnought, which has 14 wounds instead of, I think, 8.
It's
no,
13
9.
wounds.
13?
Yeah.
13 instead of 8 then. And it does have a chart where it gets weaker as it goes down.
Yep.
But it does have the potential of a lot of firepower. Watch that over to the Redemptor real quick.
Yeah, I played against the Redemptor yesterday.
It's a beautiful model.
It's a nice model. It's a Dreadnought and a Dreadnought.
It's a Dreadnought inside a Dreadnought, yeah.
Essentially. And it's got an onslaught cannon. Then for its big gun, it's the heavy onslaught cannon, and it's just 12 shots. It's 18 shots a turn almost.
Ugh.
Yeah, am I right?
So the heavy onslaught cannon is a 30-inch range, heavy 12, heavy bolter, but it also has a wrist cannon as well, which is a, I think it's where is it? It's heavy 6, heavy 6. Where'd it go? Heavy 6.
There you go.
The Gauntlet cannon on his wrist is a 24-inch range, heavy 6, heavy bolter. Strength 5 -1. So it can have a lot of shots. It can have 2 storm bolters on his chest that can be swapped out for frag storms, which are 18-inch range, assault D6, strength 4. I use those storm bolters.
Yeah.
He's literally like, if you're playing 30, he's like the Leviathan guy. He's just like kitted out to the T with guns from head to toe.
The little mini Gatling cannon that is a heavy bolter that's strength heavy 6.
It's
you
a
can
heavy
swap
6
it
heavy
out.
bolter.
Yeah, you can swap it out for heavy flamer. I would take the heavy bolter.
Yeah, the heavy,
it's short
strength
range,
5
but
-1. And then if you combine that with the heavy
it's
onslaught,
it has a lot of shots.
it's 18 shots if you rolled 6 on the head, because the other one's just heavy 12.
The
But 18
macro-
shots at strength 5 -1.
The macro plasma incinerator's other option is 36-inch range, heavy D6,
Strength 8 base.
8 -4 to your save, 1 damage, which you can supercharge it for strength 9 -4, 2 damage. So I do want to talk about this guy very briefly. I believe he should have been toughness 8.
You know what? He should, because I don't know. You guys haven't seen my game yet, so I can't really spoil anything.
Yeah, okay. I just think toughness 7 dies too fast.
Well, it's because anything.
But he has a lot of shots, and he's not that expensive. He's only like 30 points more than a regular Dreadnought, so maybe not.
He's only 30 points more,
I think something like that. I think he's better than a regular Dreadnought.
Yeah. Well, he's got.
That wants to be like up close. If you're gonna have a shooting Dreadnought in the back with last kid and missile launcher is fine. If you want an up close Dreadnought, this guy's where it's at.
Yeah, it looks like it's by the stat line.
4 attacks, and he's going to be strength, basically 14, minus 3 d6 damage.
Yep.
That's pretty gross.
But it's a sweet model. He's not auto-include. He's not so great, but he has a lot of shots, so you're going to see him on the table.
I don't think, a lot of these Primaris things are pretty good, but they're not auto-includes.
No, it comes off very much as a like an anti-infantry.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Just with all the firepower that it can do.
Tons of firepower.
Ooh.
All right, let's head over to the Reavers.
Wow.
I like these guys.
All right, now I don't know anything about these guys aside from the fact that they have a shock grenade.
I played against them yesterday.
They have Space Marine. Sorry, they have Primaris Marine stats.
Okay.
They have a 3-up save. They come with a heavy bolt pistol, which is strength 4, minus 1 to your save, 12-inch range. They can have a bolt carbine instead, which is assault 2, 24-inch range, strength 4, no rend though. They come with a combat knife, which is extra attack. So they have 2 attacks base, 3 because of the combat knife.
Yep.
Frag crack grenades, shock grenades, a 6-inch grenade, it's grenade D3, strength 6, minus 1 to your save.
No, it's got special profile.
Sorry, I was the wrong one.
So
no damage, no rend, no nothing like that. If you get hit by it, go ahead, Quirk.
Oh, if you get hit by it, you can't fire Overwatch, and your opponent must subtract 1 from any hit rolls made
Minus
for
1
the
to
unit.
hit. You know what that means with Power Fists.
Oh.
Chain Fist, Power Fist, Thunderhammers.
Yep.
They're
hitting, they're pretty bad. So they can make you minus 1 to hit. They can make you so you can't fire Overwatch. They can do they can get grapple launchers, grav shoots.
Yep.
Which
So
allow
they
them to
sort of pseudo deep strike
type thing, and then go for that 9-inch charge right away.
Yeah.
Because I guess you can't go with the 9-inch charge right away with a grenade.
Or they have a very specific spot in certain armies. So like you brought up with Raven Guard, these guys can deep strike on the turn you're ready to charge. So these guys come in, throw a little grenade, then you charge with the other
you can't do that because the grenade's only 6.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Grenades.
But
true,
you hide them around terrain. I like these guys. So far, these are my favorite of the Primaris stuff.
And they're durable. They're toughness 4, 2 wounds, 3-up save. They're not going down like scouts.
When your opponent knows they have these shock grenades, they're going to target them. And that's okay. They're a distraction. They're going to try to kill those guys while the rest of your army kills your stuff. Or they don't. They leave them alone. They throw their grenades in and they charge you with their 5-man squad with 15 attacks. Or 30 attacks with 10-man squad.
Or you throw the grenade in Overwatch.
Well, I'm just
or throw the grenade in Overwatch.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just thinking for something like this, if you were to throw that into a 50-man guard squad.
Oh yeah, they're hitting on
6s.
They're hitting on 6s and they're not overwatching.
5s.
Oh, I think even conscripts, right? 50-man
Oh
bomb
yeah, conscripts. Yeah.
Yeah. But the big thing there is that they're not overwatching, so it's no longer this whole, I don't know if I want to charge you, it's going to be a ton of shots, you're probably going to get a couple hits in there.
Hitting on fires in combat. Wait, one more thing we got to check out. It is the go to Hellblasters.
Oh, right.
They're not a new kit. Well, I'm assuming there's a kit coming out.
Well, yeah, then you got
But we have new rules on the Hellblasters that we're talking about, because Hellblasters come with the in the starter set, the rapid fire, 30-inch range, plasma incinerator.
Plasma incinerator.
Plasma incinerator.
Heavy
So
plasma
you know what they are? They're 30-inch range, rapid fire, strength 7 -4 1 damage, overcharge for strength 8 -4
What's the
2
difference between a
damage.
plasma and a heavy? Well,
So you can.
gets the heavy?
Well, there's two other weapons you can have instead. There's the assault plasma incinerator, which
They can all swap it out.
oh, I see what
Yeah.
Steve's saying.
Sorry,
Okay,
interrupted
sorry,
you.
go ahead.
the assault plasma incinerator is assault 2, 24-inch range, strength 6 -4.
You can
Beacon
supercharge
supercharger
it.
for strength 7 -4 2 damage. But again, one's dead.
Yep.
Or you can take the even heavier one, which is the heavy one. It is 36-inch range, heavy 1, strength 8 -4 1 damage, or strength 9 -4 2 damage. Believe it or not, I believe the ones that come in, what's the starter set called? Death.
Oh, jeez.
And we all brain farted.
Wow, what is that?
Okay, the ones that come in the starter set, 8th edition starter set, I think those are the best ones.
Yeah, just
though.
the plasma incinerator.
I'd rather have
yeah.
the rapid fire 30-inch one,
Yeah.
other than the heavy one that's 36, because the rapid fire one can move up 6 and still fire without a penalty. Same range essentially. And the assault ones, they're 24-inch range, assault 2, but they only strength 6.
Well, here's
I think
the thing.
you're
You're
off with.
getting. Oh yeah, there's a strength 6 difference. Never mind. I was gonna say, because you're getting, you can make up that difference just by walking up.
But you have
Essentially.
options, and options are nice.
Yeah. Because the plasma incinerator is going to be wounding vehicles on 4 without having the supercharge, whereas the other one you have to supercharge it to wound them on 4s.
Yep. You're
So
right.
Then
we
if you want
got,
to wound vehicles on 3s, you can supercharge the normal one. And this one is so much better.
we're going to wrap it up there, because honestly, this is way, way, way longer than we expected.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we can go on forever. It's a fantastic book. We covered most of the different units. We covered a couple of chapters. We're going to make another video right now that's up in the vault. We're going to cover the rest of the chapters, their special stratagems, their warlord traits, all their crazy stuff and possibilities.
Their
with
relic
them.
items. Their
There's
so much stuff.
If you're not already a
This
vault
book is
member,
massive.
it is. If you're already a vault member, you can link below. You have a 7-day free trial, because you can go ahead and watch our next video and just cancel right afterwards. It won't cost you a thing. You don't have to keep the vault membership, but there is a lot more to talk about, and I got to get some water in me and start talking more about Space Marines, because again, this is probably twice as long as we expected it to be.
Definitely.
And we have a lot more to cover in this book.
It is a big book with a lot of good stuff in it. So, yep.
I love it.
Guys, we will see you in the vault. If you're not already a vault member, do what Steve said. It also give you a chance to see the battle report that Steve and I were in, that we talked about quite a bit. So
Hopefully you saw it if you watched this video,
Yeah.
because it was good.
it is a great game.
Not to mention all the other videos are coming out next week.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's so many more coming out.
So many things coming out.
Yeah.
So many for Space Marines.
So yeah, guys, we'll see you in the vault. Thanks so much for watching, and happy wargaming.
Happy wargaming.
Hey there, Vault members, and welcome to the second half of this Space Marine Codex review, where we're going to be going over the other chapters that we didn't cover in the first review. So we basically covered Ultramarines and Salamanders, and now we're going to be covering White Scars, Black Templars, Imperial Fists, Raven Guard.
Ah, you got this.
Oh, no. It's gone. Imperial Fist, that's it.
You said Imperial Fist.
I said Imperial Fist.
Iron Hands, that's the one.
That's the one I was missing, was Iron Hands. All right. So we're going to be covering those. So we're going to go over the special chapter tactics for them, the special stratagems for them, relics that they have available to themselves, as well as their warlord traits. And just to kind of get the whole ball rolling, we've got the chapter tactics.
You
So
just rolled a 1 on speech.
I did. You're so funny.
I rolled a 6 on jokes.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay. That was funnier than it should have been. So if you're not already a Vault member, welcome to the Vault. This is what we usually do when we're in here. Vault members already know how this is how we act when it's not going to go on YouTube.
6 for jokes.
6 for jokes.
It would have been funny if you said 20.
Okay.
Maybe not.
Play D&D, a nerd. Okay, you know what? Maybe we're going to start over.
It's nice to know we're professional.
Yeah, let's just start over.